So just to follow on from the video that I put on there earlier on, I said that I'd give a quick run over of the other bog garden that I made a couple of years back. This was the first bog garden that I built. This is just out of again a pond sump. I do have a good supply of these. I work for World of Water, so things like these sort of I can get to hand. Has bowed a little bit. There's no support on the inside of it. I mean, this thing is supposed to be buried into the ground. So over the years, with the weight of the water and the weight of the peat, it has bowed the pot a little bit. But it's never done any damage. It's just sunk out at the sides a little bit. Again, this one has got drainage holes drilled into the side of it, and it's worked really well at keeping the peat damp. This one has got a mix of a few different types of substrate in it. I was experimenting with the substrate, potting mix I should say, sorry. So this is moss peat, perlite, there was even a little bit of vermiculite in there, and even a little bit of Cornish grit, all mixed in. It's got like hardcore across the bottom to help with drainage. I installed this pipe to try and get water down to the bottom of it. It didn't really work, but as yet I haven't had an issue with keeping this damp. Even in the summer when we don't get a lot of rain, it never seemed to have too much of an issue when it comes to drying out. It always sort of stayed relatively moist. This one is, I think, 3 years old, this one. I'll show you some of the plants. Some of the plants are just sort of waking up after the winter dormancy. So again, from the other video, I do apologise if I'm pronouncing some of the Latin names wrong. But I'll start in this corner here. So there's a Drosera filiformis, varfiliformis. That one's always done really well. I think it's a Florida Giant, actually. It's quite a large cultivar. It's waking up. Always does really well outside. Nice. It wakes up nice and early. We always seem to get a bit of a frost as well. You probably know in this part of the country, late spring, early summer, we do seem to get like random frosts where the temperature can dip into the minuses. It's never done any damage here. I don't know whether I've just been lucky or whether my garden is a little bit more protected compared to others, because it's quite a west-facing garden, so it's quite warm. Even in the winter, it doesn't really ever get too cold here. I mean, this has been completely covered in snow. It's been completely white before, but never seemed to, even when it started to grow early in the season, it's never done any damage. It's never had any frost damage. It wakes up really well. It gets really tall really quick, really dewy, really sticky. I've always been very impressed with how it's grown. I mean, even this little guy here, that's a Drosera capianis, I think that's how you pronounce it, the Cape Sundew. I didn't put that there. I think it must have just grown from a seed last year, and even that, I'm trying to focus on the... Yeah, that just grew from a seed last year, and even it looks quite rough now, but still a lot of green on it. It's not died away completely. Survived the winter miraculously, and it's done pretty well. Another Drosera Angelica, native sundew, English sundew. Again, probably pronouncing that wrong. I'm going to keep saying that. I do apologise. I don't like getting pronunciations wrong, but my Latin isn't the strongest. I'm going to be honest, I haven't got a clue what this is. It's a Saracinia flava. That is about as much as I know. It's quite a green form, so it might be Maxima. It was given to me a couple of years ago. It's stayed relatively small, but it grows really well, gets nice tall traps, but just never puts on any size. But again, it grows really, really well outside, as you would expect them to do. Another little one there, but I cut that one right back. Again, this is all experimental. I cut that one right back to see how it would cope with it. This is quite a big one, put a nice flower up there, Saracinia. That's I got this from work actually. I think it's just a common hybrid from Dutch growers, Carnivora, I think. I don't think it's anything too fantastic. It was just, took me out at work. I thought, yeah, I'll have that, put it in there, and it's done amazing. Crown on it is huge, it is proper, it is really well rooted in, it's good, strong, gets really tall in the summer. It's a beautiful plant. Saracinia Leukophylla, purple white giant there. Crown on that's beautiful. Still got a nice tall picture on it. That's survived from last year. I'll probably cut that down when new growth resumes. A little bit slower to wake up, as you know. They tend to do better in the heat of summer into later August. But yeah, beautiful plant. Darlingtonia Californica, that did really well last year. It's died back a little bit. Some of the pictures are not looking great. I did cut some of the taller ones away because they started getting battered by the wind a little bit. I'm hoping it's never sent off any runners in this picture as of yet, in this bog garden, sorry. I'm hoping I might see one or two this year come up here and there. Just in there, little Venus flytrap. I don't remember planting that one again. I think that might have just come up from seed. Started growing last year as a young plant. It's starting to wake up now for the spring, summer. Saracinia purpurea. Nice plant. Just cut that back about a week ago. Started to notice some new growth coming in on it. Purpurea always grows really well outside, obviously. It's probably the most hardiest of all the Saracinia. Yeah, not got any issue with that growing out here. It grows amazingly. Pinguicula Grandiflora. I think I've pronounced that right. That's another native sundew to where I am in the UK. Grows really well outside. Completely dies back in the winter. Goes underground. Always has done. This one here. All the leaves just die away and it just recedes back underground. It's quite cool to watch it emerge in the spring. I really like keeping an eye on this plant. It's one of my favourites. This is another strange one. So this is actually a Stylidium. This is a trigger plant. I can't remember the pronunciation of which one it is. If I remember, I will write it in the info section. But yeah, this went in early last year, and it seems to have done really well over the winter. I'm not too sure on the actual hardiness of them. I picked it up from Triffid last year. I had it growing upstairs and it never really did very well. So I brought it down here, put it in a cold frame, and it started to actually pick up. I was very impressed with how fast it grew after that, so I thought, you know what, I'm going to stick it in the cold, stick it in the bog garden. Completely open. This has had no frost protection. Like I said, this was completely covered in snow. This was buried in snow over the winter, and it's not died back at all. I mean, it's always been green, it's always stayed green, now little bits of red on the leaves. It's quite a tough little plant. And the flowers that come off it are beautiful, little white flowers, little pink dots on them, little hammer on there that trigger, they're really cool. It's considered a proto-carnivore, I think. I'm not too sure of the actual sort of information behind it. I've done little bits of research on keeping them and things like that. I don't think it's directly carnivorous, but when you do see the little flowers coming up, if you look closely, you can see, like, I'm sorry if you can hear the dog barking, it's my neighbour's dog, I do apologise about that. When the flowers come up, you can see like little droplets of dew on the stem, so maybe it's got some sort of carnivorous little nature behind it, not too sure, but I do like the plant, very nice plant. Little Drosera angelica there again, maybe coming back. I think that's a rotundifolia. That's another native. I think that might be seed grow. I don't remember ever planting them here. Rotundifolia, that's probably come off something else. Drosera intermedia there, just growing back. Can't really see, little bits of green growing on it. Venus flytrap, that's a DCXL. That was that's a big Venus flytrap. It was a little pulling that I pulled off one of my bigger plants and potted it in here to see how it would grow. And last year it was amazing. It didn't get very big because it's only a very young plant. But yeah, I've got high hopes for that. So the Drosera angelica there. This little guy was one of my first ever rescues. A little garden centre rescue. Picked it up at the garden centre about 3 years ago for 50p. Took it home, grew it on my windowsill. It's never really recovered from its damage. It's always stayed relatively small. It's had a couple of years to recover, but it gets better and better each year. so I'm hoping that might sort of pick up something. It's one that I do like keeping an eye on, because like I say, it was one that I rescued a while ago, and I've sort of just watched its progress over years and watched it come back after having so much sort of drought damage and lack of sun. It was in really bad shape, and I brought it back. I was quite happy with that. This little guy, again, this is a Leukophylla Giant. Gets really big in the summer and autumn. Gets some beautiful pictures. I can't remember the exact cultivar it was. It was one I picked up from Nigel Hewitt Cooper a while ago. Yeah, that gets really nice. Does really well outside, but it is a bit of a later starter. A couple of Flava Maxima. They come up red for some reason. It's a new one to me. I don't know whether they do normally come up red, but it goes really bright green, really tall bright green pitchers. These are two young ones. This is a favourite of mine. This is a Saracinia Morii Max Rawlings named cultivar. Beautiful plant, nice tall red pitchers. It's flower, got a nice flower bud coming up. That's a favourite one of mine. That's another one, another Max Rawlings rhizome that hasn't woke up yet. I'm a little bit concerned about that. Not concerned about that one, but there's no movement on it yet. I cut the pictures back because they started to get a bit wind damaged. I do apologise about the mess behind there. That's just where my water thing is. Yeah, do apologise about that. Slow grow last year. It was a cut-in early last year. It was a rhizome cut-in. It sent a couple of pictures up, but never did fantastic. I'm hoping it will start to recover slowly as the summer starts coming in now. And again, that was just a Saracinia hybrid from the Dutch growers. Another one I picked up from work. Grew really well last year. Very strong crown on it. Very nice, strong rooted plant. Beautiful pictures. Comes up nice, big, green and red. Don't know exactly what it is, but yeah, like I say, it was just one I picked up on the cheap, just to test out my back garden. Yeah, I think that's it, guys. My two experimental back gardens just left there, out all winter. Oh yeah, I don't have a massive supply of rainwater here on my house. I've got nowhere to catch it, I've got nowhere to store it. And obviously carnivorous plants do need purer water, so I have a RO water built in. That's my RO machine I got from work. Like I've said before, I do work for World of Water, so things like this I can get hold of pretty easily. Connected to my 100 litre water butt. I've never had a problem with keeping on top of my water. I check it constantly. It's always down to 5 TDS, so it always stays quite nice and pure. And that's what I use to water my plants. So that one and that one. Thanks for watching, guys.